Hello, welcome to Astro Breeze. And today, our study group, we're going to look at continuing our study of the astrology of musicians. And I'm going to complete part one today with the study of singers, some lead singers, some just singers, some with beautiful voices, some with just vocal moxie. Let's put it that way. And as you look at some of these, you'll know what I'm talking about. But a couple things. I want you to pay attention also to the quintiles in the middle. Those are those unusual degrees of creativity. That's all you need to know. And just kind of, if I'm talking about something, look at the connections of what some of the things might be to give these people some extraordinary creativity or, like a gift. And a couple more preludes to today. Again, we're going to look at I had more success, with singers. There's a lot more information about them, and I pretty much got. I think I got the birth time on everyone here, and that makes it so much easier because we have so much more to look at. We can not. We can look at the hemisphere balance. The whole top hemisphere is all outward. Outward. Everybody can see you, and everything underneath. I should say, if you should know that this line here, this is the horizon line, from the 12th and first house. This is where the sun rises up here, and then it goes up in the
Gary,
top. Yes.
it's not showing at all.
Okay. Sorry.
I just realized when you started talking like that, that something was supposed to be up.
Thank you. Let's see if that comes in.
There it is.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So your horizon line is right here. It's like right here is where the sun comes up. This is the eastern horizon, and then over here on the right hand side of the chart is the western horizon where the sun would set. And you can see in Whitney Houston, when she was born, the sun had set. So you would know that it's like you could see this, and you know that it's after, she's in Leo. So it would be, the sun sets late. So you can imagine it's probably after 8 o'clock. And we go look at her time, and here it's 8:55. It's already set underneath the horizon here. All right, so that just gives you a little reference. So one thing we kind of want to look at is, especially with singers, and now we have a couple differences here. We have people on stage, and then we have singers. So some of the people are just, singers and have great voices, and we want to look at that. We want to look at maybe that part, and then we're also going to look at the on-stageness as well. So we're going to be looking at two things. So the first part I want to kind of bring awareness to is what would make a singer? What would do that? So the first thing is, I would think, is some kind of emphasis on the throat, having the vocal cords or the pipes to sing. You've got to have the apparatus, the jaws, the throat, the nostrils, I don't know, just all of that kind of focus to be able to sing, and then to want to sing, and to have that instrument within yourself to be able to sing. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is anything that might be related to singing, like Taurus. Is there anything in Taurus? Anything maybe like the sun or Venus? We'll get to Venus in a second. But how many things are in Taurus? And then how about in the second house? Because that rules, the second house is related to Taurus. So we have that. And then I would think anything Venusian in a good way. Like if Venus is in Taurus, in its own sign, if Venus is exalted, maybe being in Pisces, that might be another good one. And I'm not so sure about like Venus in Libra, even though it's next favorite, rulership sign. That seems more, that is a cardinal air sign. I don't know, it could be, but I'm thinking more on the sensual side. And then some things maybe if not, Venus, I'm thinking again would be in Taurus, the, beautiful voice, right? The vocals, or in Pisces, exalted, likes to be there too. So I think there'd be some kind of emphasis on the vocals. Where was I? Secondly, those are the things I think would indicate really beautiful voice. Maybe the sun conjunct Venus, maybe the Venus in good aspect to the sun. Oh, and Neptune, because we have that Piscean nature, that ability to emote, to bring emotion to that, to whatever they're bringing out. But the first thing I was looking at is just like the vocal ability, and that's what I was thinking, the Taurus. And then I was thinking other parts, like with different aspects to we were just talking about Pisces and Neptune. Okay, so that will kind of unfold, but I want you to notice that. And then I want you to notice also, I pretty much looked at the type of charts. Now, some of these people are all public people, but then, they have their private life. So a lot of these people have a seesaw chart. That means they have a lot of planets on one side and a lot of planets on another. Okay, another thing about birth time and having to know this, if we know the birth time, we can see, is there a lot of planets above the horizon? Are they out there? Do they want to be seen? Are they vocal, or are they all hidden underneath? You can have somebody that likes to sing and sings well, that doesn't want to perform. So we might see a lot of things under the horizon, with that. It's like, look at Whitney Houston. I mean, she performed, but she might have been made to, like, Michael Jackson. I mean, he was, commodity for his dad and the family and stuff. And, I haven't got a good birth time on him, but, these people might have these beautiful voices, but don't want to be a performer. So there's a couple other things we're looking at. So today I kind of want to just look at, we're gonna, again, a couple things, because you'll see people in the list that obviously have really good voices, songbirds, and then others that are just, they know how to use their voice as an instrument. So like Whitney Houston and Rod Stewart, like, okay, the beautiful voice, or Barbara Streisand, and Rod Stewart, or Mick Jagger. I didn't put him on there. We've looked at him before, but you know what I'm talking about. I mean, Rod Stewart's great, but his voice is not like, Barbara Streisand. Okay. That being said, I had to kind of pre-disclose a lot of things because this is packed. There's a lot in here. Okay, Whitney. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets above the horizon. Okay, so half. I would expect to see, like, if for a lead singer or somebody out in the, that wants to perform something in Leo and or Aries, we have that fire, or even Sagittarius for that matter. So here we see the sun and Venus conjunct, in Leo, and we have that strength of Leo, that performer, but there's the sun and conjunct, so it's a little bit wide, but it's still, we allowed a lot for the sun, but it's still right there. It's fused, that Venusian energy with the sun. I would think something very musical or on stagey. And then we have the moon, conjunct Jupiter over here in Aries. So big, a lot of energy there. And then, we, even though we have a Pisces rising, that sensitivity. Wow, look at that. This is a big house that has all the Aries, and the power planets there are in its own place, but it started for her with that sensitivity. Okay, and we can go on and on and on, deep, deep, deep. But just kind of giving you, we got to just look at some of the things here, and then we have a prominent. Let's say, look at the Sag on the midheaven. And then that. Anything else I noted here? We said that. Yeah, Sag midheaven. Yep, that one's pretty good. All right, Celine Dion. Bunch of Aries up at the top of the chart, and Taurus. Look at that. So Mars in Taurus, but we have the sun, Saturn, North Node, and Moon all in Aries. Very interesting. And then here, look at Venus is in its exalted place. Another throaty. I mean, it's in its, like, a good place, and it's in the interesting. All of this up here near the midheaven. Look at sun right on the midheaven in Aries, but yet part of the 10th house is in Taurus. She uses her, that's like part of the business. But interesting with Venus and Mercury conjunct, both at 18 degrees in Pisces. Interesting, huh? Okay, down here, what do we see? She's got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She got 6 above, and they're all clustered above, at the midheaven there. So she's kind of pretty outward with that. And then we have a, Neptune. She's born in a generation of Neptune in Scorpio. So it's in a water, it's in a water place. So that could lend that energy there. What else do I have by her? Leo ascendant. kind of goes with the Aries midheaven. So that's definitely a lover of the stage. And for people, to be seen, she wants to be seen. Okay, another seesaw chart. And then look at all these, look at the aspects here of like Uranus over to Mars and the moon. Interesting, huh? Alrighty. Jim Morrison. He had such a sexy voice, and it just was so deep, and it was just very smooth. And look at him. He's got the sun halfway in Sag. He's got the sex appeal with Venus just into Scorpio, and then Scorpio on the midheaven, and then Sag for the rest of that 10th house, that real outward there. And then born with the generation of Pluto and Leo. But look at, he's got the North Node in Leo as well, so that's outward. And then Jupiter in Leo, outward. And then here we go, Moon in Taurus. So with him, there's that throatiness, right? With the moon and emoting that, right? He's like, wrote that dark poetry, and into this house we're born. It's like all this stuff. So yeah, you can see that definitely, that I think the moon with him more than anything. What else I got noted on him? All the Leo stuff. Moon square the nodes. Is that what I have there? Yeah. Yeah. Look at that. Exactly. That's kind of leads to the troubledness. But then look at the creativity with that. It's moon square the nodes, but then look at this beautiful trine. What is this? So that's 51. This is double that with that sun and Neptune. So that add that odd creativity, that odd poetry, there with the moon, behind the scenes, this is the end. It's like there's some pretty dark kind of songs there. All right. Janis Joplin. Janis. So here again, she was a very vocalese kind of person, but a different kind of singer. We'll see some real pretty singers in a minute. But here, we've got probably the moon in Cancer, and then, the North Node, another one, North Node in Leo. Interesting. The moon in Cancer, probably that sensitivity almost more than anything. And then the sun, at the late end of Capricorn. What do we got on the midheaven? We've got a Sagittarius midheaven, and the Mars up there too. So there was that more of a performer here than I think the lead singer kind of persona. Then this is what I was talking about. Some are more vocalese, beautiful singers. Others are more, they use their voice as an instrument. All right. What do we have next? Rod Stewart. So this guy, this is very interesting because he again is not a very vocalese person, but he uses his voice well, and he's been entertaining people for 50 years, for 5 decades or so to speak. Wow. So yeah, let's unpack him a little bit. He's got, part of his sex appeal was that moon in Scorpio, and then his second house. So there we have a moon in the Taurus house. So there's the voice, but again, it's not like, the pure songbird, like, we'll see. I don't want to be ragging on him. I like Rod Stewart, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. All right. So we've got a 10th house Leo, even though we've got Cancer on that Cancer on the midheaven, I think gave him he's an ultimate performer. He's got the ability to read his audience, and he's got a Libra rising. People like him. He's got Venus in its exalted sign there. Another one with Venus in Pisces. So, there's using that voice in a great way. I think the best ones are going to be Venus in Taurus, but anyway, but it's in his 5th house, of a Leo house. He's got a lot of the stuff below the chart, the sun. Look at all this stuff in Capricorn. He was, Capricorn, busy work hall guy. Mars energy there, South Node, but yet he has that nice Mercury Sag. That's cool. So yeah, a lot of this, made that possible for him to be more of a performer. And right there on his midheaven, North Node, he's got to go to that. He's got to go. He's had to. North Node on the cusp there. That's where he had to go this life. Very interesting. And then he's got that seesaw kind of chart too. 2 lives. Frank Sinatra, another male singer, an interesting voice, just like a nice he kind of has like a talk sing, voice. And then you've got that nice Sagittarian energy. We've got the moon in Pisces, that's that sensitivity. So and then all this stuff, underneath the chart. And then he's got, Venus in working Sag, but yet he has Neptune right at the top of the chart and South Node in and Mars all in that outward Leo. Look at me. Look at me. um do we have a seesaw chart too? He's got like only 4 planets up there, but he kind of got taken up. He didn't. I don't think he got like touring big till later. I think early on, he kind of went with the industry. There was like into the television and into the early parts of that, and then it kind of changed. But there's where that Sagittarian outwards. So we've got that fireness, but that but the moon, in their Pisces, we've seen quite a bit of talent here with Pisces moons. I think that's definitely something to look for, which we see again in Elvis, another Pisces moon. And then he's got a whole bunch of stuff there in in Capricorn. So that would make for the working, Sun, Venus, and Mercury. All his inner core is like at that, doing that singing for a living. It's all in the second house. And where's his Venus is there. What else was interesting with him? And then another prominent Neptune on, near the midheaven. And that could also make for going down the wrong path, overindulgence, being misled, drug abuse, that everybody can see. It's not, for him, it's like out there. It wasn't hidden. But there again, we had our moon in that area. I got him. Okay, Robert Plant. This one is interesting because he's probably the most outward of the ones that I picked. And his voice, he's again sort of like a Rod Stewart. I mean, a good voice, strong and everything, but he's more of a lead singer. Look at this whole bit of stuff at the top of his chart. A lot of it in the end of the 8th and 9th house. As we get over to the 10th, with Neptune there in a 10th and Mars there, right? But look at this big conflagration. He's got Mercury in Virgo. So he's got to have a retentive mind, singers. That's another thing I was thinking of, maybe, having things to remember lyrics too. But here we got this big Leo stellium. So the outwardness, the look at me, and he had, with the hair, just real Leo looking. And then there again, the moon, in Pisces. Wow. And then let's see, his chart was pretty much like a bucket chart. He's got, went toward that Pisces moon, everything there. That was, the holder of the bucket, having to do that inner, that inner manifestation of his musical career. 8 planets above. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Aretha Franklin. She had a huge octave range. She has a very, very interesting vocal person. And she, like Janice, has the moon in Cancer. So there's the sensitivity coming in there. And what else was her with her? She has, the Leo at the midheaven. I'm born in that generation, with Pluto there, but that's generational. But, interesting that the Leo at the midheaven. And with her, we're starting to see, with a little bit more of the throaty vocalese, beautiful, controlled voice. Now we're seeing some planets in Taurus. We've got a conjunction here, Uranus and Saturn. So, unusual, structured, in a very solid sign. You're in a throaty area. So, very interesting. So it's just, and then we got a nice Aries sun there. And we have the, Piscean South Node. So she had that. And then, the mind, so she's thinking, feeling on this one. So very interesting. So again, we got the throat stuff here with these planets. All right. Aretha, is that all I wanted to say? There's so much. I'm just trying to give you some snippets here. She's got a nice bowl pattern, kind of focused on that, right? Yeah, Sarah Vaughan. Honey, you're on. Sarah Vaughan. Look at these nice, the quintiles. I can't always say the wrong thing on that. Very, very creative vocalese person. All right. We'll unpack Sarah. Well, we've got another Neptune, in the ninth house. I'm not sure where drugs and alcohol played in with her. I didn't examine her life. Retrograde in Leo. Leo at the, it's like, look at Leo, Virgo, right at that midheaven, so we got that, both of them, right? It's like right there, that look at me, and, it could be right there. It's so close. And then here again, look at that voice. We have our Venus in Taurus. So now we're getting into some more of the vocal people, and then that drive with the Aries Sun and Mercury. We've got some of the some of the Piscean energy here, the unusual thing that she was able to do and pick up on, with Uranus. hmm what else we have with her? Yeah, just, the seesaw pattern, but the classic Venus in Taurus. All right, Ella Fitzgerald. That's another vocalese person. If this is a true birth time, all of the planets are above. Look at that. And I think I got a pretty good, I think at the Rodham rating was, somebody looked at her birth certificate. And then looky here, the sun and Venus conjunct in Taurus. Okay, so not only is Venus in Taurus, but it's conjunct the sun. And then look at else. We got Mercury in Taurus and the big planet, big expansive planet, Jupiter in Taurus. Here we go. So she, had a vocal chop. She had pipes. And I think, whoa, we're seeing all the Taurus stuff at the top of the chart. So she's probably the best example of using the anatomy, the anatomical lead singer. Yeah, so that's very interesting. And then we've got several things over there in Cancer, the South Node, Saturn, and Pluto. So we could probably get more into her life with that. And then there is a planet in Leo, again, generational, but nonetheless. And what else here? Just seeing, we have Pluto being in a sextile to the Sun and Venus, because it's two signs away. So there is some, probably singing from the depths, the core. Yeah. So this is a classic one. This is a real good one. Oh yeah, I did get confirmation on that. Right. All right. Let's look at Billie Holiday, because we're in that group. And look at these. Here we go. Even though she's an Aries, look at, we got all this stuff, and we got Venus in the exalted sign of Pisces, along with Venus, Mars, Mercury, and Jupiter, all there in Pisces, all that feeling. And then the born in a generation where Pluto just moved into Cancer, and then we have Neptune in Cancer. So we got like another kind of just singing, that sultry. She's probably, well, got that raspy, sultry, interesting jazz voice. All right. There we go. Barbara. Babs. All right. Another one. Look at here. Sun and Mercury in Taurus, along with Saturn and Uranus. So we got another big Taurus group. And then we have a Venus in Pisces. So this is what I'm saying. When we get more into people that are really vocalies, that really have the chops, you'll see more of that, where we saw entertainers in there lend themselves, but this is kind of what we're seeing over and over here. Interesting, she only has one planet, Venus, above the horizon, and it's in the 12th house. It's in Pisces, because she's an Aries rising. So very interesting on that, but we have the midheaven, as a work, she's got Capricorn. She's a busy worker. She had many parts of her career. She, was in movies. She was, singing, touring, this big part of her career. And look at all of this, look at all of these quintiles in here. She had the busy Neptune, right? Neptune in Virgo, right? And in her 6th house. And then the North Node there too in Virgo. So that was her work. She did that to work. And then with the moon in Leo, there's that bit of kind of emotionally on stage. So she could probably turn it on and then turn off. Yeah, very interesting. She's another one there. Okay, Al Jarreau. Very interesting vocal person. So we have some Taurus here. We've got Mars and Uranus in Taurus. So we've got some of the Taurus stuff. And he was interesting. I mean, he was very, he could hit really good notes, and he did a lot of beatboxing with his voice. And then he was also learned, and he turned into a very excellent singer. So there's our Taurus and Venus. I didn't say that one. Venus and Taurus. So there we go. We've got the stellium and especially Venus there. Very interesting voice. All this Aries stuff, and then the moon. All the Aries planets, giving him that drive and energy to do this at a young age. He's been at it and entertaining people for a long time. And look here, we got Neptune again up there near the top of chart in the ninth house. We've seen a lot of Neptune in the ninth houses. And then he's retrograde, this one. Yeah, Bobby McFerrin. Picked him because he does so many interesting vocal things. If you ever listen to him, I mean, it's more than be happy. Don't worry, be happy. But he did so many, beat things. He did a really good, you have to look up on YouTube the video with him and Chick Corea doing a song, I think called The Frog. It's amazing. In Chick Corea, he's doing like little ditties, and Chick Corea's following him, and it's just one of those amazing things. Okay, so there's our Pisces Sun and Pisces Mercury. So there we have that. He's pulling in those odd things, from somewhere. Venus isn't in its best sign, but he's used these ideas. Moon isn't in the best feeling sign, but we've got the Sun and Mercury in feeling areas. So, but he's got this in, the Moon in the second house. Nothing in Taurus. Again, he's not the vocalese kind of person. He's not the songbird, but he's amazing, but a different kind of a vocalist. This is what I wanted to share with you, some different things, and then we've got Virgo on the midheaven. So he's very articulate and meticulous and exacting. So it's gone a little different way with him, and I think it's just very interesting to note that. And what else with him? Yeah, I think we went through everything with him. And the last person I want to leave with is Luciano Pavarotti, one of the best vocal ranges and vocal people supposedly around. And look at very interesting. We hardly see anything of what we were saying. We have Uranus in Taurus, okay, but that's not like Venus. Venus is in Virgo, but maybe that's really, really exacting in his first house with Leo on the ascendant. So there's maybe it's like, I am the performer and I have exacting Venus in Virgo in that area. So maybe that he was able to lend himself to do that. And then the focus, of Mercury there in that really focused Scorpio, he can focus and just 0 degrees into that, of just barely. So focusing the voice. And for him, it was, maybe had to be learned. I mean, of course, he born with that ability, but then he had to train himself to be able to do that. That's, to sing how he was singing was just an amazing. And then we've got now, here's our Pisces, Saturn, South Node. We got some water here. Anything else? But you wouldn't think, how it would be, but maybe it's a different type of singing. All right, so let's see, what else was I going to say about these things? Let's see, there's one other thing I wanted to share with you while we're looking at him. I think. All right, so to sum it up, let's see. Oh, a couple just things. A prominent, well aspect Neptune in a chart can suggest musical and singing ability. Just some other notes I had here. Neptune is perhaps the most important planet to look at for singing ability. This is some other things that I gathered, other people trying to say. Neptune rules inspiration, music, singing, and dancing in astrology. A well aspected Neptune can be a strong indicator of musical talent and singing abilities in astrology. So well aspected, I think, is a key word here. If it touches Venus, yes. If it touches the sun in a prominent place. So maybe in good aspect to the sun, your, who you are, your core, and Venus, maybe, and Mercury. What else here? For singers, the most important signs are Taurus and Pisces. As mentioned before, Taurus rules the vocal cords, and good singers frequently have a stellium in Taurus, which we saw on a few people. And okay, that's it. That was just a few other things that I wanted to share with you. All right, thanks for listening, and we're gonna kind of wrap this up with them. We'll probably get back to some more soon, and I'll be looking at relationships because that is so important. We can look at there's certain things, certain planets in relation to each other that, if you're looking at you and somebody else, if your sun signs are square, it means one thing. If they're trine, it means another. We're going to kind of look at it that way. If they're sextile, that means something else. And this is anybody, any relationship. You just should know how the certain signs affect you. So we're going to start looking at that next week. All right. Thank you for listening, and more to follow. Bye for now.